So
you have to.
This is what Human Rights Watch said last year. Bodies of people showing signs of torture continue to turn up in rivers, forests, quarries, mortuaries. The authorities have yet to investigate or prosecute anyone for these crimes. Kenya has a history of police brutality and lack of accountability for serious abuse.
So
that's Human Rights Watch.
You want to believe what Human Rights Watch said, not what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because
I'm going to believe a human rights group over a politician who started by saying, I won't give you straight answers.
It is their tech, Mehdi.
Boy, Mehdi Hasan sure knows how to hold it down. But nonetheless, get ready guys, Mehdi Hasan, known for his sharp dismantling arguments with surgical precisions, takes on Kimani, who's a spokesperson for Kenya's President William Ruto, in a heated debate over police brutality, broken promises, and the government's mishandling of protests during an economic crisis. Kimani's coming into this debate armed with political spin and deflection tactics. He's about to face a storm of facts with unrelenting logic from Mehdi. A panel of experts are also about to weigh in. This is going to get entertaining.
It is their take, and I didn't come here to give their take. I came here to give my take and the perspective.
So they're wrong, you think? The police officers are being held to account?
They're wrong because the police officers must be held to account.
But they haven't been.
And that is why we have institutions that will hold them to account.
So what you said today about the deaths sounded good. You said it's regrettable, there should be no loss of life. That's what you say here. What you say in Kenya is a little bit different. This is what you said in December about the abductions of young people. You said that they're a way for people to basically con the system. You said these people, quote, they're not really abducted, you said, quote, they're locking themselves in Airbnbs with their girlfriends and hiding. Are you saying that all these abductions, Kenyan parents crying over missing children, bodies turning up in rivers, that's people pretending, hiding with their girlfriends in an Airbnb? Do you understand how offensive that sounds?
Mehdi, I was speaking in Bungoma County, and the context was the clamor for, there was the misconception that every other abduction in the country was being perpetuated by security agencies. But what I said is that we have laws in the country that people who are construed to have broken the law in terms of the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Act, if they are found culpable, the DCI or the police should and must arrest them and take them before courts of law, because that is what they deserve. And the police and security agencies have no business abducting anybody, and nobody should be abducted.
But they are abducting people.
By security agencies.
But they are abducting.
Allow me to make my point, because you asked me a question. And it is in that context then that I said, and again, it is not all cases, Mehdi, that were out of abductions or what was construed to be abductions. And let me tell you, there were cases where people, somebody was holed up in an Airbnb, but reported himself as abducted.
But for you as a leading politician in the country, where people are being disappeared in a democracy in 2024, 2025, it seems a strange thing to focus on, not the kids whose bodies are being found in rivers and forests and warehouses with gunshot wounds to the head and the neck. And instead of focusing on that, you focus on one case of somebody in an Airbnb. Seems strange.
Mehdi, I also say there were cases of political conspiracies where people...
Can we talk about the cases that are open and shut, police, intelligence services abducting kids? You accept that happens in your country? Your government and your intelligence services have abducted innocent people. You accept that?
It has been claimed. Those are matters.
Not claimed, it's happened.
It has been claimed.
You don't accept it's happened?
I do not believe there are enforced disappearances perpetuated by the state in Kenya. Not in this day and age. We have an administration which, for the first time, none other than the president himself committed that never again will Kenyans have to disappear and you fish their bodies out of River Yala or River Tana like happened some time back. And therefore, why I say they are claims, because they are claims that are being investigated.
They're not claims. Let me give you a fact. Can I give you a fact?
Unless you give me facts.
I'm going to give you a fact right now, because the audience around the world watching may not know this. The Attorney General of Kenya, his son was abducted. Literally a serving member of the government. His son was taken. How did he get him released? Can you tell our audience?
The Attorney General of Kenya is called Dorcas Oduor.
Justin Muturi, the former Attorney General, he's moved on.
Abducted. The person who has alleged that his son was abducted is the former Attorney General, Justin Muturi. And
how did he get his son released?
And I'll tell you again, I have read from the media, heard Justin Muturi what he said, just as you heard it. It is an allegation by Justin Muturi. somebody who has...
Mr. Muturi says he went to the president and said, President Ruto, the intelligence service has taken my son. President Ruto called the head of your intelligence service and his son was released.
Have you heard Mehdi from President Ruto on the same? Have you heard from the director of intelligence?
You tell me what's President Ruto's... Has he denied it?
Have you heard from him?
No, I don't live in Kenya. You're the expert. Has President Ruto denied that?
Why don't you allow then me to tell you my
Please
take?
do.
Because that's your take.
Please.
From what has been reported.
That's
not my take.
I'm reporting
so
a member of your government.
This
is amazing. I'm quoting a member of your government, not the opposition, a member of your government who you're calling a liar because he says his son was abducted.
That's why I told you Justin Muturi, the former Attorney General and current Minister for Public Service,
yes,
is a politician to begin with, has beef with his boss.
Okay.
In the government he serves.
Wow. So he made up a story about his son being abducted.
There are reasons. Wow,
Kenyan politics.
Will you allow me
Please.
to make my points?
Please, this is just, I'm stunned.
There are reasons why Justin Muturi was removed as Attorney General around the time of the demonstrations in June of last year. There are reasons probably why Justin Muturi knows he's probably on his way out. It is him who has made those allegations. That is a matter under active investigations. As I told you,
has President Ruto denied it?
We have got, you will need probably to invite him and ask him.
You can't
I
speak
am not
for
President William Ruto, neither am I his spokesperson.
Has he denied it? It's a simple factual question, yes or no?
I have not heard him, and I don't know if he has been asked to...
So one of the... I just want to recap for our viewers, just to be followed. A minister in the Kenyan government has said that his son was abducted by the intelligence services and the president of Kenya had to intervene to release his son. You suggest the minister is lying and on his way out, but the president hasn't denied any of this happened.
I don't suggest. I tell you emphatically, the minister has reasons to lie. Okay. Emphatically. He has reasons to lie.
And he's on his way out?
He definitely knows it.
All right, Justin Muturi, if you're watching, you may want to put your resume out there.
Let me tell you, Mehdi. Let me tell you, because it's all politics.
Even the abduction of his son is politics.
It is all politics. He's playing politics with a very unfortunate incident.
Let's bring in our panel now to see what they think about all of this. I'm going to go first to Irungu Houghton, who is the Executive Director of Amnesty International Kenya. Irungu, your organization has been documenting a lot of these abductions. You yourself, I believe, have spoken to some of the abductees and their families. Kimani suggests that this is kind of water under the bridge. There's no real evidence for now. A lot of it is politics. What's your view?
I think there has been a trend of targeting dissent, people who have protested in our streets, excessive use of force against people essentially just expressing the right to assembly. And in one case, for example, this young man was essentially held incommunicado. He was stripped naked. He was shaved, not just on top of his head, but in his pubic areas. He was interrogated ad nauseum about who his connections were, and all he had done was to post cartoons and artificially generated images onto the on his Twitter handle.
Images of what, can I ask?
Of the president in a casket.
Is that appropriate? Somebody makes fun of the president in Kenya and they get tortured like this?
When William Ruto became president, when the buck stopped at his desk, he took decisive action to end the extrajudicial killings that were happening. True, what Irungu says is true. There was a case of about, I don't know if there were 3 or 4 young Kenyans who were allegedly abducted, and it went out that
not allegedly. They were abducted.
They were abducted, as it was reported. They turned back to their returned back to their families. There was one case where one of them turned back, appeared in a disco at night with a fully charged phone. So you need to ask yourself where
I don't understand what the battery power of phones has to do with torture and human rights in Kenya.
If I am abducted and kept incommunicado without a phone or anything, I do not expect you to have a fully charged phone and to reappear after 2 weeks.
But do you deny they were tortured? I mean, Irungu just described horrific torture.
I am not denying anything if you listen to me, and please listen to me keenly, because as I said, Mehdi, there are cases of abductions. As to who is abducting people is a question.
They say the police. Am I wrong, Irungu? They're saying security services.
They say so. The police say it is not us. So what do we do in a country with institutions that work? allow the investigative agencies and institutions to investigate and get to check who has abducted who.
So on that note, I just want to bring in some more, panelists. It's a good point to raise there. Awino Okech is a professor of feminist and security studies at the University of London, SOAS. Kimani says, what do you do in a country where the institutions work? And I want to ask you, do the institutions work in Kenya? Is there accountability? What is your perspective?
I think we must begin by recognizing, Mr. Ichung'wah, that there's a huge trust deficit with the Ruto regime. You earlier on spoke about the fact that you're 2 years into a 5-year term. We're all employees. Some of us are employees. Your employer does not wait for you to reach your end of contract to tell you have you performed well or not. We all have performance reviews and performance contracts. And I think the citizens who voted for you are saying things are not working. I do not believe that institutions are working effectively, because if I tell you that people are being abducted outside your house and you say it's not my people, then your answer should be to tell us who those are. You're not giving Kenyans any confidence if you say it's not the police, it's not the NIS, but somehow we don't know who they are. And we're supposed to automatically assume that that's fine since it's not the police and National Intelligence Service. Trust must be rebuilt, Mr. Ichung'wah, if we are to trust the Ruto government.
Do you want to respond to Awino?
Yes, and I agree with her that trust must be earned, not actually rebuilt. You earn your trust from your actions, and that is why it is only right that we allow the institutions to investigate so that those who claim they have been abducted, because as I say, there are criminal elements that have been involved. And I remember last year, at the heat of the youth demonstrations in June last year, I think around July or August, if I'm not wrong, bodies were discovered in a place called Kware in Embakasi, just outside the airport in Nairobi. And it turned out that somebody, some sort of crazy serial killer, was killing ladies and dumping their bodies there. Therefore, you can imagine what would have happened if we were all quick to judge and say, yes, these are protesters, young protesters, in the backdrop of what was happening then, who have disappeared and now their bodies are dumped there.
Before I go to our third panelist who's been waiting patiently, just Irungu, very quickly, just comparing, Kimani seems to be suggesting that pre-2022, there was lots of bad stuff, and since then things have improved. As someone who's covered multiple governments over multiple years, do you agree with that?
No. I mean, I think what has happened in the last 6 months has been really remarkable and very scary for many Kenyans. 89 abductions, 63 deaths, 29 still missing. These are not normal times. I mean, if you put together the number of people who were killed in 2023 and 2024, that is 4 times the number that were killed during the multipartyism period and the struggle for multipartyism. So we've seen a real jump in these figures. But it's not just the figures, it's just what happens to a family, to a community whose young one has had their life ripped from them. So I think we have to get beyond the numbers to just think about what does it mean for the people that you mentioned that are finding their way in body bags in mortuaries in Kenya. It has to stop.
And there you have it. Mehdi Hasan, the human fact checker, just schooled Kimani on why you don't bring political spin to a truth fight. Point 1. Kimani tried to downplay police brutality by saying, don't believe me, believe Human Rights Watch, which is basically the political equivalent of saying, don't look at the man behind the curtain. We looked, and it's not pretty. Point 2. While Kimani was busy deflecting with Airbnb conspiracy theories, Mehdi dropped receipts, bodies in rivers, abductions, and the government minister's own son allegedly snatched by state agents. If this were a boxing match, Kimani would have thrown in the towel by now. So let's call it like it is. Mehdi Hasan came, saw, and absolutely conquered Kimani. He might want to consider a career in Airbnb PR instead. But what do you think? Do you think governments should be held accountable for police brutality? Or is it just part of the job? Let me know in the comments. Do you favor Mehdi's point or Kimani's spin? Don't forget to like and share, y'all. Catch you in the next one.